You know how someone lights a fire and then acts shocked when it burns down the entire house? That's basically Rachel Zegler right now. First, Disney's Snow White remake was already on the verge of collapse when South Park casually dropped it off a cliff. The best part was that they did it with their signature, "We don't care if you offended" energy classic, but while Rachel was still doing damage control over the movie's controversies, South Park just came in and roasted the entire film and her, leaving Disney reeling like someone clicked reply by accident. Trust me, this doesn't end with a few memes and jokes. South Park has already obliterated Rachel and Snow White.
Will you check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there?
We need to go back a little to fully appreciate this train wreck because Disney has been having an identity crisis larger than your cousin after their third gap year, and every move they've made lately screams, "Please like us." And now they're reportedly working on a new DI special, so stay tuned because this is a full-blown Hollywood disaster coming to life in real time, and South Park just decided to add insult to injury. They have been rewriting stories, changing characters, and essentially treating cherished classics like do-it-yourself projects from Pinterest. That is, the ones that seem good until you actually create them. Cue Snow White, as the remake has been causing a stir from the start, from the casting of Rachel Zegler to the reworking of the plot and, in essence, the removal of the romantic element that made the original so popular. The dwarves' controversy infuriated fans, and when South Park noticed the chaos, he said, "Hold my beer." This is where things start to improve. Oh wow, South Park did not hold back when they released their contribution to the Pandaverse special. They essentially expressed what the internet has been saying for months.
Oh, not again. Yeah, only this time, it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy.
As a parody of Hollywood's fixation with checking diversity boxes, Cotman and the gang were changed into adult women of color for the classic South Park roast. Let's face it, Disney practically invited this roast given how they've been treating Snow White, the special drag, for transforming real stories into pointless checkbox exercises. South Park's message was loud and clear. Congrats, Disney, you're so busy pandering you forgot to tell a good story. Brutal. And Rachel Zegler she was front and center in that roast. Don't get me wrong, people are all for diversity in movies, but the way Disney's been going about it feels less like a genuine inclusion and more like just checking boxes on a corporate to-do list, which made Snow White an easy target from the start. The literal name of the character is skin as white as snow, so when Disney cast Rachel Zegler, a Latina actress, in the role, they knew it would spark debate, but the controversy wasn't just about casting. Disney gutted the entire essence of the story: no prince, no romance, and the dwarves swap with CGI and a live remake. I know, make it make sense, right? All of this to avoid reinforcing stereotypes and to be more culturally sensitive and inclusive, aiming for a modern reimagining of the story that aligns with contemporary values. Well, the public didn't take well to this. And South Park saw this disaster brewing and just couldn't resist. Their parody basically screamed, "If you remove everything that made Snow White, what's even left besides a marketing campaign?" That is? Rachel didn't exactly do herself any favors here either. When you land a role as iconic as Snow White, maybe you show a little respect to the original, but no. Rachel went full speed into controversy mode, trashing the original story in interviews, calling it outdated, weird, and basically implying that the prince was a walking red flag. And listen, South Park doesn't miss when they smell a corporate pandering opportunity.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
I don't need your business, so I don't mind telling half the country not to watch the movie. Thank you very much. Smooth. Rachel further boasted that the prince's role in the new Snow White is hardly there and that the film isn't about love at all.
All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Fans were incensed, critics were perplexed, and South Park was already writing the script for the roast when Rachel began to sound less proud of bringing back a classic and more ashamed to be a part of it. Of course, South Park couldn't ignore Disney's bizarre decision to reimagine the Seven Dwarfs. Instead, they gave us a random assortment of diverse friends who appeared to have stumbled in from a failed Dungeons & Dragons campaign. Fans felt that Disney was trying too hard to avoid controversy, only to land squarely in the middle. South Park ran with this, mocking how classics are being gutted to avoid offending anyone, while ironically offending everyone. You would think that if The Little Mermaid remake taught Disney anything, it would be that controversy kills the vibe. Sure, Harley Bailey's Ariel received some backlash, but the movie mostly stayed true to its roots. Disney had multiple reshoots and brought the dwarves back into using computer graphics, which only served to fuel even more controversy. Even though it has been modified, Snow White is hardly recognizable. Let's not pretend Rachel's snide interviews about trashing the love story didn't give South Park a ton of material. They essentially turned Rachel's dismissive remarks into the comedic equivalent of the PSA. If you hate the story this much, maybe don't star in it. South Park also noticed that they saw Disney's diversity plus modern twists equal profit formula and roasted it straight into orbit. Because executives are aware that South Park's ridicule endures, this caused Disney to fear. Fans are not only laughing, they are nodding in agreement. There have been rumors that Disney even attempted to contact South Park's parent company to calm things down, but it appears that South Park enjoys it when people do that because it only makes them more intense. For example, when they roasted science and Tom Cruise, they thrived on that drama. So Disney's attempt to silence them is like putting gasoline on a fire that is already blazing. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse for Disney, this is essentially South Park saying, "We're not done with you yet," as they are reportedly working on a brand new DI special that might debut as early as August, carrying on the Panverse jokes. Apparently, they're planning to use Snow White's box office performance as fuel to roast Rachel Zegler and Disney even harder, and let's be real, everyone knows how badly the movie flopped, so when this drops, it's going to be brutal, so people are hyped because this movie's flop basically handed South Park a golden roast platter. Like it was buffet night, so how is Rachel handling all of this? Not well. Insiders claim she's fuming behind the scenes. She expected applause for bringing a bold, modern twist to Snow White, not headlines calling her out for ruining a classic and pushing a woke agenda, so instead of red carpets and praise, she's getting memed and roasted by the most savage cartoon on television. She's reportedly annoyed that people think she only got the role to check a diversity box, and South Park poking fun at her didn't just pour salt in the wound, it dumped the entire salt shaker. So between Disney's fumbling PR plays, Rachel's fiery interviews, and South Park's savage Pandaverse special, it all collided into a glorious meltdown that's got Hollywood on the edge and fans grabbing popcorn. So will Disney learn anything from this disaster, or will they double down and keep modernizing classics until there's nothing left to modernize? Leave your opinions in the comments section below. But until the next time, keep your satire sharp and your classics intact. Also, bear in mind that if South Park is making fun of you, you most likely made a mistake somewhere along the line.